tutorial. I'm doing my first tutorial for with Sam's Beadbox Mookaite Memories. So I got a chance after I did the opening the other day that I sat down and I looked at everything again, and I decided I really want to make that multi-strand bracelet. So I pulled out quite a few things. Actually, I'm not sure if I'm going to use all of them, but I wanted to use so much of it. I wanted to use every single bead on this bracelet, but I can't do that. So, well, I can, but I don't know how it would turn out. Anyway, so I have a list of things that I am going to be using today, and I'm pretty excited to see how this turns out. So I am going to go ahead and turn this around and we'll get started on it. I want to tell everyone thank you again for pointing me in the right direction to get this box. I am so excited about it, and I am looking forward to more and more and more. Good job, Sam. You did a great job pulling this together. Everyone who helps with pulling all these colors together and coordinates this box. It's beautiful. It's absolutely gorgeous. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and flip you around and we will get to it. All right, everyone. So this is what I am going to be using today. There's actually more underneath, and I'll go through which items that we are using. But first I want to actually just share something with you. So I have this thing where I get, I start thinking about different little things and, about my kids and about life in general, just, and I start worrying about stuff, and then I get myself scared about the future and, do we have enough saved for retirement? Are my kids okay? Is everything going all right? All these things. Is there more that I can do to help my family? And then I just get scared, and that's usually when I pray. But I also found it's just a little tiny segment of a Bible verse that, I thought I would share with you guys. And it comes from Joshua chapter 1, verse 9. And it's real simple. It just says, be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. So, we're taught that, fear is normal, because it is. It's one of our emotions. But we need to hold on to the fact that we don't need to be afraid. We can definitely, call on Christ to help us get through, all of our fears and everything. So it's just kind of a little reminder to myself, and I jotted it down just so I can kind of remember it, and I keep it kind of out where I can see it. So when I'm feeling a little anxious or worried about the future or about anything in general, I can remember that there's no reason for me to be afraid. I don't have to be afraid. So that's what I wanted to share with you guys. All right, so let me go ahead and tell you what we're using out of the box, or what we're going to attempt to use out of the box. So we first have the Mookaite, the 6mm Mookaite that we are using. Then we have the mini tulips in purple stone. Going to use that. We have the Czech Twist Barrels in purple silk copper. We have the little seed beads, house-made Mookaite mix. So I'm probably going to try to use these as like little spacers and stuff. Like I said before, I'm not really a seed beader. I would like to be, but I don't know if I have that kind of patience. So we have those. I might use a few of these more of the red, and these are the textured oval Mookaite glow mix. I don't know how many of these I'll use, or maybe I'll use more of the orange and yellow. I haven't quite decided yet. I think it's going to just depend on what I do. I'm going to use the Dappled Leaf and the Dreamy Amethyst mix I'm going to use these, or some of them anyway. I'm not sure which ones yet. I have the copper-plated hematite cubes. I have the English cut purple silk 3.5 millimeter beads. I have the Czech Melon drop purple silk copper. I have the melon mustard yellow silk mix. I have those. And then I also have the round purple stone 6 millimeters. I want to use this Boho multi-strand link. I brought from my own stash a clasp. I wanted a larger clasp. A couple lengths of chain already cut for my bracelet, and I have some beadalon wire. I cut 6 pieces of this. Yeah, 6 pieces. And it's in the bronze color. So I got that. And then I've got the jump rings and the wire guardians and the crimp tubes as well. So this is what we're going to be using today. And I will lay this out and I'll show you how I figured out what I needed as far as like the chain and everything, okay? 1 second. And we'll get this all squared away. Okay, so in order to use this, I know that I wanted to make sure that it kind of is like the center of everything we need. So I measured out my wrist, and my wrist is 6.5 inches long, but I would like to make this a 7-inch bracelet. So this is 1 inch, and you might as well say that this, along with the larger jump ring that we're going to need, is going to be a couple inches. And I cut a little bit extra chain just to be on the safe side, but I measured these out and they were 5.5, so which is probably too big, but we're going to see. My measurements aren't the greatest, and I am terrible at like formulas. So my idea was to use 2 different kinds of chain. And these came from my stash. I think I may have gotten them from Bargain Bead Box before, or Bead Box Bargains. But I want to use 2 different types of chain on each side to kind of help fill in the space. And I think I actually need more wire. I think I miscounted how much I need. So I'm probably going to need a couple more strands of this. So what we're going to do is I just want to make sure that my measurements are correct. And I think I want to use these chains like in between. So I want to do like, there's five little holes on this side. And so I want to do it to where it's a beaded strand, a chain, a beaded strand, chain, and a beaded strand. And so I want to go ahead and just hook one side on just so I can kind of see where it's at. So I'm going to grab some of my jump rings. And I got these tiny ones out. I got some, they're 4mm jump rings, and we're going to go ahead and put those on. So that way we at least have that. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. So I think that like this is probably a good time for me to tell you guys about what personally happened with me, and why I kind of turned away from God, because there's some things going on that maybe, you know, when I start talking about different stuff that my daughter is going through, you'll have an understanding of what had happened in the past. So in 2018, in the fall, it was October, we decided, all 6 of us, that we were going to go down to Cedar Point. And so we had to take 2 cars. Ashley drove her car, and in her car she was driving, and it was myself and my son. So the 3 of us were in that car, and then Shane and his 2 boys were in his car, and we just kind of caravan down there. And you know, we didn't have like a big enough vehicle for all of us to get into, so that's why we used 2 cars. So we got down there and we had spent the day, we did some rides, you know, ate some food, had some fun, and it was getting kind of late, and we needed to get going because we still had a long drive back. Cedar Point is in Sandusky, Ohio, and I live in Western Michigan, so it's clear on the other side, and it's a good drive. It's about a 3.5, 4-hour drive. And we left, I think it was probably around 7 o'clock. So it was already dark out, and we knew we had to drive home. And so I had told my daughter, I said, you know, hey, I think we should get ready to get going, you know, get us home at a decent time. And she said, oh, well, I think Will and I are going to stay a little bit longer. And I said, okay. I said, I kind of don't want you to. I'd like you to come back, you know, we could all drive back. And there was something about it, and I can't tell you what it was, but it was a feeling that I had. And it was, I don't know if you want to call it mom's intuition or whatever. And I couldn't even place the feeling, to be honest with you. I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't understand where it was coming from or what it even meant or anything like that. So I said, okay. And she's like, we only really want to ride one more ride, and then we'll be heading out too. And I said, all right, well, you know, and I kept, you know, hugging them and kissing them and over, and I kept telling them over and over that I love them. And she's like, it'll be okay, Mom, we'll be okay. And I'm like, all right. So we got home, and I knew they would be just a couple hours behind us. And I had my ringer on my phone, and I laid it on my nightstand, and I went to bed. And I got woken up about an hour and a half later, my phone ringing, and it was my son. And he said, Mom, don't be afraid, don't be upset. We got into an accident. Well, that shot me straight up in bed. And I said, what do you mean? Are you okay? Are you okay? Is everyone okay? And he said, well, I'm calling 911 from Ashley's phone because I can use it without unlocking it, and I'm calling you from my phone. And he said, I said, what happened? And he's like, I have no idea, Mom. It happened so fast, I don't know what happened. So I said, is Ashley okay? And he says, Mom, I don't know, she won't wake up. And just me saying those words to you right now, I never, there was a long time that I couldn't say those words without breaking down and sobbing, because I could still feel that feeling at 3 o'clock in the morning. I don't know, I can't wake her up. So I could hear the ambulance coming, and I told him, I said, you guys get an ambulance, we're, heading down. And one of the, ambulance drivers got on the phone and told me we're taking them to Jackson Hospital. So I said, okay. And my husband and I got in the car. While we were in the car, I had to call the kid's dad and tell him, because he lives a little bit further north than I do. And so I let him know, and he came down right away too. And when we got there, I got to see William right away, and he was fine. He had, a couple bruises, a couple bumps, some scrapes, and, had glass in his hair. And then finally when I got to see my daughter, the picture was a lot different, you guys. It was awful. She broke both legs to the point of, like, they needed severe repairing. Metal rods, plates, screws, I mean, you name it, the kitchen sink went into her legs. Both arms were broken. Her pelvis was pretty much crushed. It was a mess. It was really, really bad. And so basically what had happened, they were driving, and they were just, listening to music and driving home. They were only about an hour away from being home. And a deer, or actually a couple of deer, jumped out, and just immediately, to where there was no reaction time. You couldn't slam on the brakes, you couldn't swerve, nothing. And Ashley hit the deer. Well, the deer made all the airbags deploy, and she ended up crossing into the left lane, into the median, over to the oncoming side of the traffic because she couldn't see anything, and ran into a semi-truck. The engine, on impact, ended up flying out of the car and landing about 300 feet away. All right, so now this is where it comes in. And I'm sorry I'm giving you this little talk instead of beading. If you don't want to hear it, you can please go through, but I'm telling you because I can tell you now. They were safe, right? Somebody was watching over them. I was never so close to losing my children, and I know that should be one thing that, brought me closer to God, and it did for a short time. But then I got past the thankful part somehow. I don't know what happened. And I got pushed into the, how could you have let that happen to my family? And I went into that very deeply for a long time. And when I started seeing my daughter healing, and when she finally could take some steps, which was months and months and months down the road, it was a long time before she could make a couple steps. So I started becoming grateful again, and then about a year later, COVID hit, and I was still really struggling with, my own mental health around this. And my daughter, she struggles with it too because of this. And, my son had that survivor's guilt. Even though both kids survived, he had that, well, why did this all happen to her and not to me? We were all just a big mess. It was pretty rough. My husband went through a lot with me emotionally, and I was very thankful that he was so kind and patient. And when I stumbled upon Wendy, there was something she said, and I can't remember what it was, and it could have been something so small. I honestly don't remember exactly what it was, but I said, oh my gosh, that's what I'm missing. That's why I'm not healing, because I pushed him away. I pushed God away. And Wendy was the one who brought me back. And that's why this is important to me. That's why she is important to me. She, without even knowing that she did this, because I never told her she did this. I never told her. And I'm sure she knows now, but because of her is the reason I am able to finally speak about it, speak about my struggles with my faith, and to let you know that, if you're struggling with things, there are many ways you can get through it. You can definitely go to therapy. I recommend therapy so much because it helped me. But also, don't be afraid to lean a little bit harder on your religion, and don't be afraid of that. Okay, so now I'm sorry that I took up some precious time talking, but I really felt the need to share it with you. If it helps anybody else for whatever you're going through, then that makes me happy. So anyway, now we're moving on because my children are amazing and they're doing great. My daughter does need to have another surgery, but it's to remove some of the parts that her bones are pushing out now because she doesn't need it anymore. So, it's a good thing. So moving on to good things. All right, thank you for listening, everybody. And those of you who didn't want to listen, it's absolutely fine. It does not hurt my feelings. I won't even know that you fast forwarded. It's absolutely fine. So this is where I'm at, and this is how it would end up fitting. So as you can see, I did get too much chain. It's kind of bulking up there. I think I could actually take a link or two off each side, but I think I'm gonna wait to do that until I'm getting, until I get closer to being done. All right, so there's that. And now we're going to go ahead and we're going to start stringing on some beads. So let's just start with this one side over here. And I am going to need my little wire guardians and my little, these are called crimp tubes. So I can only find in the beadalon, and maybe it's just because I'm looking in the wrong spot, just like brighter copper, and I would like to be able to find like a duller, like an antique, something more like this, but it's gonna have to do. It's fine. All right, so I'm gonna put on my crimp tube, and then I am going to put on my wire guardian and loop that right through. And I think that I want to go ahead and just string it right on just the way it is, because it's going to fit in there nice, I think. So let me take a look here real quick and see. Whoops. Let me try not to block what I'm doing. All right, there we go. Yeah, that actually sits really nice in there, so that's going to be good. All right, and then we can slide that crimp tube up there and go ahead and crimp it down. Make sure your wires are not crossed. Okay. And there we go. Now we got our little crimp. All right, and I do want to use mostly the beads that came in this box. I just love them. So I honestly didn't even pull out any of my own beads at all. And I'm not even sure if these would fit over. I haven't even tried them. Let me just try these. All I knew is that what I wanted to do, and I wasn't sure exactly what I was going to use. Okay, so it does fit over one. Well, of course it would fit over one. I'm being silly. And it kind of fits over two, but not really. So we're just gonna pull it off there. These might not get used right away. They might just get used to be thrown in between some other things. So I know that I really love these. I wanna use these on a strand. So I'm gonna use this at the end, this little copper toned hematite spacer. Oh, come on. There we go. All right, so my big plan was we'll make a few strands together, and then I will go off camera and string up the rest. And then we will come back together and we'll get this all measured out correctly and make sure that we have everything squared away at our end here. All right, let's go with this little Czech Melon. Let's see. I think I want to kind of keep with that same shape feeling. So let's do this one. And then maybe we'll do this little orange and yellow. It has just a little splash of purple like on the inside there. There we go. And then let's do this purple. And then let's do another one of these, but going the opposite way. And I know that if I needed to cut off some, like a couple of these larger lengths, like probably to here, so I probably only need one more little bead here. So it's easier to add length on than to take it away once you close everything up. So let's just go ahead and use another one of these little copper guys here. And we're gonna just close off the end of this bracelet, this strand of this bracelet. So I need my crimp tube again and my little wire guardian. And I'll just string that back through the other side of my wire guardian. And just down through, maybe through the end of that melon bead. Oh, I didn't want to go that far. I went farther than I thought. There it is. All right. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna need to cut a couple more pieces because I miscounted. I wasn't all there this morning when I was cutting this stuff and getting it prepped and ready. I went over to my mom's this morning and helped her get her closet, because we threw a bunch of stuff in her closet just to get it out of the way, and then we had to like unbury her closet. So she's pretty much all set. She is pretty much all set. She has little things that she can kind of putz around with. I told her that if there's anything more that, you know, she wants me to help her with, I'd be happy to come over and help her. But we got all of our Christmas stuff, and this lady has more Christmas stuff than you can shake a stick at. So she's looking forward to making her new home all Christmassy, and I'm looking forward to seeing it. It's gonna be really nice. All right, so now maybe in the middle here, I kind of don't want any of my strands to look the same. I want these all to look a little bit different. So I'm just trying to decide exactly what I want to do. Let's just continue on with the same side though. So again, we're going to string on that crimp tube and this wire guardian. Oh my goodness, I cannot. You know, there are days where my hands work just fine, and then the minute I turn on the recording to record something, it's like my fingers forget what they're used for. And they're like, what do you want me to do again? I don't understand. All right, so now I want to make sure this is pretty even. I know in the grand scheme of things it probably doesn't matter too much, but it looks nicer for me. All right. Okay. All right, so next I think I would like to use, let's use one of these purple Czech glass Druks. Have that right up at the top there. That looks pretty. All right, and then I think I would like to use a couple of these Mookaite ones, the ones with the extra little swirls in them. I really like those extra little swirls. So let's just use a couple of those. And picking out the right one is like, maybe that one. All right, how about this one? Okay, and then I am going to use one of these little hematite cubes. And then let's use another one of these. Let's use another hematite cube. And I hear Cheeto trying to get in. Hold on, I'm gonna get him. Come on, Cheeto. Come on. Here you go. It's a big boy. Okay. So the cat's in. Now he won't be trying to break in. And all he wants to do is he's just trying to be nosy. He wants to know what's going on in here. All right, so let's use this Mookaite one. And then let's use another one of these purple Druks. And then let's just end this with the copper spacer. And let me make sure my, it looks like I could end up using another little bead. How about we just throw this little purple guy on here? No rhyme or reason, just making it right. Okay, so now we need another crimp tube. I at least want to get one side done before I pause you guys, and then bead the rest of it. Okay. So my story I told you, if any of you are ever wondering why I talk so much about my family, that's why. That's why, because you should never stop talking about your family to anybody. You should never stop talking about what you believe to anybody. And it shouldn't matter what other people have to say. And I've learned a long time ago that, you know what, it doesn't matter what they say. It really doesn't. If they don't have anything good to say, they're not worth listening to. So that's why I'm able to keep kind of like keep myself raised up, you know, and not let myself fall to people being less than kind. There we go. Oh my goodness. There we are. So, a funny story. So I made ham and potato soup. It was like loaded baked potato soup, basically is what it is. It's really good. And you make it in the crock pot, super easy. And I made a huge batch. And I kept thinking, I'm like, oh, I'm going to have so much left over that I'm going to take some for my mom tomorrow so I could, you know, we can have lunch. Well, I got up this morning and yeah, it was gone. Anybody with teenagers in the house know, or young adults even, know that there is such a thing, I guess, as second dinner, and they usually participate in second dinner every night. So at least I know that we do not waste food here because somebody's eating those leftovers. And it's also a good thing that Shane and I thought ahead this week and bought some extra lunches for him. I haven't needed much because I've been off. I go back to work tomorrow, which I'm kind of looking forward to, but I'm kind of not looking forward to because I've really enjoyed my time at home and helping my mom. But I go to work because I kind of need a break, you know what I mean? And just like I lock myself in my craft room and I will make something, or I'll start a tutorial so that way I have one ready. But yeah, I kind of need a break from being off work, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense to anybody else but me, but that's kind of what I need. All right, and so there's one little tulips. I'm gonna put another little one of these guys on top. I really love the colors in this box. Let's use one of these little redder Mookaite beads. And I'd like to use one of these. I tend to seem to like the yellow and the orange the best for some reason, and I'm not sure why. All right, let's go with another one of these little Mookaite beads. And let's go ahead and see where we're at. know what, I'm just gonna maybe do this same thing backwards here. It'll be cute. Okay, and then we have room for one extra bead, and I think that let's do another Mookaite one, and there's this really cool, like swirly, really swirly one. So let's use that one. Yeah, that works out pretty nice. All right, so now we can do the end of this. So I have a question, and there's like a few different types of people. So do you set up your, if you celebrate Christmas, do you set up your Christmas tree directly after Halloween is over? And so like November 1st, it's up and ready to go? Or do you wait till after Thanksgiving? Or do you wait to do it just a couple weeks before Christmas? So that's my question for you. We're kind of like a couple weeks before Christmas. We get a live tree, and I'm gonna be honest, we get lazy about watering it. So towards the end of our neating our tree up, it's like ready to go. So, and part two of that question is, when do you take your tree down? Do you leave it up through Epiphany, which would be, I believe, January 6th? Do you leave it up to New Year's Day, or do you take it down right away? So we're a take it down right away people. And I know people are like, how do you do that? It's so pretty to look at. You know, my house is so there's a lot of square footage in my house, but because it's a Cape Cod, it's broken up into like levels of the house. So I don't have a lot of large areas. So the Christmas tree takes up a ton of space in my living room. So I need to get some of that space back quickly. And so that's the reason why we end up doing it. All right, so now you can see where my beads ended up, and now I can see what I need to trim off. So we're going to go ahead and trim off these links here. And then once I'm done with that, I'll go ahead and get off camera and bead the other side up. And then we'll meet back here and we'll attach everything else that we need to attach. Right there. These new cutters are great, you guys. I have not struggled one bit with these new cutters. They're so amazing. All right, so there is the one side to our bracelet. And I think that's going to be very, very pretty. All right, I will do the rest off camera and we'll come back to attach our clasps. Okay, so here we are. We got everything strung and it looks really pretty. Very, very pretty. So I am going to go ahead and we're going to put on the clasps and the jump rings. So I have some larger jump rings here and some more like, I think they're like 6mm, and these are probably like 10, 12mm maybe. So we're going to figure out the best way that we want to do this. So I know we have this clasp, and we need to kind of gather all these together, and it's going to look a little bit bunchy, but I think once we get it on, it's going to look great. So let's go ahead and use these large ones, because I think we're really going to need these really big ones. And these are nice and thick jump rings. So I'm just going to string them on this jump ring. Whoop. Like so. Like that. Yeah, and see, and that's gonna look good. That's gonna look really good because you have those like little copper chain in between, and it just kind of peeks out, gives it some more metal to it, so I didn't have to use a bunch of like bead caps or anything like that. All right, so there's the one side, and let's go ahead and do the other side. There we go. I keep wanting to slide out of there. Probably doing this the hard way. Let's see. Okay, I got those 3 through. And then that one. Yeah, I was definitely trying to do it the hard way. And now I think I want, oops. I think I want to put on that clasp, but let me see something. So maybe I do need to take off more chain on this side. Sometimes the best way to figure that out is to put it on all of it on a jump ring to see. You know what? No, I don't think I do. I think it's fine. Okay. And this might not be, oops. There we go. I might not be doing it like that with the clasp. I might have to add like another small jump ring, but I'm not sure yet. Let's see. Because honestly, my measurements are never spot on. They're never perfect. And I either don't have a long enough bracelet, I need to add an extender, or my bracelet's way too long and I'm like, what do I do now? Do I go ahead and trim it down? But you know what? I think this is going to be perfect. So the only thing I want to do is I kind of just want to add one little dangle from one of these little corners. And I want it to be just one of these little purple leaves. And I think I can use one of these jump rings. I don't want like a bunch of dangles, I just want one. So let's go ahead and do this. See if that fits through there. Now that jump ring is too fat. Okay, let me see if I have a thinner one that we can use. Okay, let me take a peek real quick here, guys. Sorry about that. Probably should have tested that to begin with. So I do have some thinner ones, but I think they're going to be too tiny. You know what, let me just see. Maybe I can use a couple. If it fits through and I can hook it back together, I might be able to use just another jump ring to hang it. My dog's going wild, the male must be here. He does not like male people. I don't know what it is. We have like the nicest male person ever, and he does not like him, not one bit. Yeah, that's not going to work. All right. Let's scratch that one. If I can get that out of there now. I just ruined this jump ring, but that's okay. I've got a gazillion of them, so let me just take that out of there. And I don't think we're gonna fool with that. Maybe, nope, you know what? We're not gonna do those for a dangle. Instead, we will do one of those really cute little tulips for a dangle. We'll do that instead because that's gonna be easier. All right, so I just need a head pin. And we'll just put that head pin right on there. And we're gonna just do a simple loop. And then I'll hang it with a jump ring so it dangles down a little bit more. There. Let me close it the rest of the way though. There we go. All right, and I think we'll use one of these And then I'll try it on my wrist and show you guys what it looks like. Let's just hang it right from here. That'll be pretty. Okay. All right, let me get that out of my way. Now I'll show you guys the bracelet on. Let's do it this way. Do any of you remember that like clasp, like helper thing? It was like an ad scene on TV. I swear, I feel like I need one of those. They probably don't even make them anymore. All right, almost, there we go. Okay, yep, you know what? It's a little bit big. I can fit a couple fingers underneath, but you know, I'm okay with that. I think it's gonna be nice. It's gonna slide around a little bit. It's kind of like, I've been wanting to do a bracelet like this for a very long time, and thanks to this bead box, thank you, Sam, I got a chance to finally be brave enough and do it. All right, guys, that's gonna be it for today. Thank you for listening to my story. If you have any questions or whatever, you can direct them to me. That's fine. I'm good with answering questions. But if you also like this bracelet, I will put a list of everything that I used in the show notes, and that way you can look at it. And even if you didn't get a bead box, maybe you have something that's very similar that you can do this with, or maybe you want to jump on Sam's website or app and order some of these pieces for yourself if you didn't get the bead box. All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much for joining me for another tutorial. I always have so much fun with you guys, and I appreciate you listening every day or watching every time you jump online. And thank you for leaving comments and questions and helpful hints. You have no idea how much it means to me. It means so much to me. And everyone, take care of yourself and take care of your loved ones. Don't stop talking about your family and your friends. And I hope you have a blessed day. Bye.